Okay, guys, welcome back to another interview on Unhinged. Once again, I am joined by James Lewis. An absolute pleasure. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you, mate. Pleasure to speak to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Lovely to get you on the show after as I talked about before we went on air, after a fantastic performance on your Oktagon debut. It was rude not to get you on. It was a lovely opportunity, so I appreciate you, first and foremost, for coming on the show.
No, thank you, mate. Appreciate you.
Yeah, and I'd love to talk about that debut, an emphatic one to say the least. On such a big stage, should we say that Oktagon have really came out as of late in the last year, really, really strong. And obviously they're coming over to that English market. I saw that video of you getting your tickets from Manchester. Talk to me
Skill.
about that Oktagon debut.
No,
Was the
yeah,
whole setting and stage, did that kind of impress you?
yeah, massively. Yeah, it was. I knew it was a big stage, but I didn't realise how big until I got there. Really. But yeah, the debut couldn't have gone better. Really. Good opponent. You know, he had a lot of hype behind him coming off winning the Challenge Series,
Yeah.
and put him to bed pretty much. So it went perfectly. I announced myself how I knew I was going to, really.
Absolutely. 15,000 rowdy Germans. What else could they expect? It was going to be lively, wasn't it?
That's it, mate. That's it. 'Cause it was actually in the Czech Republic, that one. I was scheduled to fight Germany after.
Yeah.
But the Czech and the Slovak fans are crazy. They're brilliant.
Yeah.
They absolutely love the fighting. And I've heard the German fans are the same. So it feels a really good time to get involved with Oktagon.
I was speaking to Brian Lacey, obviously the commentator for Oktagon MMA, the other day, and he was speaking about how they went to Germany and they had spirits. They had, and so the police asked them what they're going to be selling at the event, all the different alcohol and etc. And out of all the alcohol that they said they couldn't sell was sours, the shots. They didn't want it. And they said
Really?
it would round them two up. And he also told me something else on air. It was absolutely phenomenal. I died laughing. They had 600 undercover cops in the crowd.
Right?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Jesus. I wonder why
That's
that is.
crazy.
They must be mental, the German fans. Then that's great.
It was absolutely. When he told me that story, I was thinking, "Oh my goodness!"
Yeah, that's
And I
what we
was like,
want.
"Could you imagine them on sours or on Jaeger? Jesus, they're off it."
I know they do. They do bad enough off the beer, apparently. No, I love that.
They do love their beer though. Their big steins and stuff. Oh man, they're absolutely mental.
I wish I'd have fought in Germany now after knowing that.
soon, maybe not the next one, but the one after.
Yeah, hopefully.
Maybe a possibility. Oh, but then we got Manchester though, so
Well, yeah, it'd be Manchester first, 100%. Yeah,
yeah.
Manchester first.
So we'll go back to the debut for as long as it lasted. You're both trading shots on the feet, but and in the end, it was the story of your grappling, which ultimately is the goal for any fight. You're a BJJ brown belt. How did that feel to kind of add another submission to your resume, for your long resume? I looked through your resume. I've watched some of your fights. I mean, you've got arm triangles, you've got knee bars. How did that kind of feel just to add another one under that, that long lasting resume?
Yeah, no, it felt good. Yeah, I was ready to go wherever that fight took me. Really, and it was nice to trade some shots on the feet. I think I dropped him with an head kick, which was nice as well. But yeah, I mean, I back myself with anyone on the ground. I think I'm the best grappler in the welterweight division. I'm very lucky that I've got one of the best grapplers in the world as my coach. So yeah, back myself with anyone on the mat. I think it lets me be free with my striking. Because if anyone takes me down, I think it's a bad time for them, which is sort of how it worked out in the debut. I think Salim actually caught a kick and took me down, and then immediately got swept. So yeah, it's a part of the game that I feel that's really strong and top pressure and submission. So I can see me getting a lot of submission wins in Oktagon, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about the next one. It's such a fantastic. When I got to research your opponent, I obviously he was an absolute wild man, James. He's an absolute wild man. I was speaking to Scott of Oktagon, and I just said he's an absolute nutcase. He's all all gas, no brakes. Honestly, his mentality is ridiculous. I'd love for you to talk to me about the matchup and how do you kind of prepare for a guy that's so aggressive, who's pretty much looking to come in there and try and take your head off.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think in his last few fights in the last few years, he seems to have curbed that a bit, and he's a little bit more tactful in his approach now. But he's still, like you say, he's coming out looking to throw bombs, isn't he? Luckily, I've got a load of training partners who are trying to take my head off every week, so I'm pretty used to it. So it'll just be another night for me in terms of that. But looking forward to the challenge of working out that puzzle of how to deal with that. And it's something me and my coach, me and my team have worked on. And as I say, looking forward to another opponent, another challenge, another style. I'm just looking forward to another fight.
Yeah, obviously your opponent Vladislav Kanchev. And you know, as we were on the talk about his aggression, how do you kind of use that against him? Obviously, you're probably I don't want to speak about your game plan or anything, give it away or anything like that. But obviously, I feel like you're going to want to try and take the fight to the ground, especially from his last fight. But how do you kind of use that aggression against him? And obviously, what we've seen in your last fight as well, you don't mind a little bit of a scrap. You don't mind a little bit of a punch or two.
Yeah, I mean, this is it. Like, you know, I think the fight will end up on the ground at some point, but I wouldn't say I'm particularly looking to take it there. You know, I'm ready for a war. I'm ready for a scrap. Obviously, you got to do that intelligently. But I'm ready for 15 minutes. I'm ready for a 15-minute war, whether that's on the feet or on the ground. I think it will end up on the ground eventually, and that's where I'll finish the fight.
Yeah, we kind of talked about how strong he comes out really early. I mean, that is the big talking point about him, because he has 11 first round KOs, and there isn't not a lot to really talk about him. But is the feeling when the fight starts is to land something big to try and gain that respect from Vladislav?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's always the plan anyway. Really, it certainly is for me. I think when the fight starts, you need to let them know you're there and land something significant anyway, just to let them know that it's going to be a tough night. So it'll be no different in respect to that. Really, I'm not, with respect, I'm not paying that all those first round finishes. I'm not paying them that much mind, really. It's obviously something to be aware of, but the guys he's done that against are certainly not me. So yeah, I'm not putting too much stock into that. If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Vladislav made his debut also in his last fight for Oktagon. I kind of want to ask you if you watched it. I watched it again this morning. It was a story of grappling. He kind of struggled a lot on that. What can you really take away from his first fight? Does that give you a clear, not necessarily a blueprint, but something to go off?
Yeah, it does, and it showed things that he struggles against. That I think there's things that I actually do even better than his opponent, and things that I can do even better and put even more pressure on him than his opponent did. Don't think I'll be looking as desperate for that takedown as his opponent did. But yeah, it's shown his weaknesses really. Whether he showed them up, we'll find out on next Saturday.
Absolutely, I'm looking forward to it. Saturday, July 29th. Oh my god, I'm looking forward to it. It's such a great 2 nights for Oktagon over there. I'm really looking forward to it. Obviously, you're the second night, you're on Saturday, and obviously we've got the Friday night. Ridiculous cards, absolutely stacked. I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, I'll move on. I'd love to talk about what's happening this weekend. Obviously, we talked about you said you trained a little bit with Tom Aspin, who comes down then and then. You're from Wigan. He's thereabouts from Wigan. I kind of want to ask you, this will probably go out after his fight. So I kind of want a bit of a, maybe a Mystic James situation going on. So how do you think the fight's going to go down this weekend?
To be honest, mate, I think this Polish chap, from what I've seen of him, is pretty made for Tom. So I think he'll probably KO him early. To be honest, I don't think he's gonna trouble Tom really. I think it's going to be an early night for him, and I think the bigger challenges for Tom are ahead really.
Yeah, I really rate Tom. I think he's an absolutely fantastic athlete at heavyweight as well. Came in at 258 pounds, looks slim, looks trimmed, and just the way he moves at heavyweight is ridiculous. He's so quick, so sharp. He literally moves like 170 pounder like you. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. There's not many heavyweights that move like Tom. I think he's got all the potential in the world. Really, I think he can go all the way to that belt. Really, I think no disrespect to Tom, I think we all know John Jones is a different kettle of fish than anyone, isn't he? So, but there's not saying that Tom isn't capable of that. But yeah, I think the sky's the limit for Tom, really, at heavyweight. As you say, there's not many heavyweights that move like him. I think the biggest challenge will be when he gets to that title fight, if John Jones is still around.
Yeah, absolutely. Love to see that fight. Would be absolutely phenomenal down the line. You talked about John Jones, obviously, one of the greatest, if not the greatest, to ever do it. So completely agree on that sense. But yeah, thank you very much, James. An absolute pleasure. I wish you the best of luck next week. Saturday, July 29th. Watch James Lewis take action at Oktagon MMA 45. James, an absolute pleasure. How are you? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, mate. Pleasure to speak to you, mate.
Absolutely messed my words up there at the end, but appreciate it. But talk to you soon.
No worries, mate. Speak to you soon, buddy.
Bye-bye.